Air, a three-letter word that supplies life. People say it's food and water that you need to survive, but without air, will you make it out alive?
Air pollution and
According to a Swiss-based
A study by the Center for Research on Energy and Health We all know that oxygen is an essential element for life forms to survive. It is the second most abundant gas present in the atmosphere. Approximately 21% of the atmosphere is oxygen. So, what is the oxygen cycle? The oxygen cycle is a biological process which helps in maintaining the oxygen level by moving through the main reservoirs, which are atmosphere, biosphere, hydrosphere, and lithosphere. These oxygen reservoirs refer to areas where oxygen is stored. The atmosphere is the layer of gases present above the Earth's surface. The sum of Earth's ecosystems makes a biosphere. Lithosphere is the largest reservoir of oxygen, making up about 99.5% of the reservoir. The hydrosphere is 33% oxygen by volume, present mainly as a component of water molecules including free oxygen and carbonic acids. Oxygen is mainly required for breathing, combustion, supporting aquatic life, decomposition of organic waste, and maintaining the level of oxygen in the atmosphere. The oxygen cycle begins with the process of photosynthesis. In the presence of sunlight, and the plants release oxygen back into the atmosphere, by which humans and animals breathe in oxygen and breathe out carbon dioxide, and again linking back to the plants. This proves that both the oxygen and carbon cycle occur independently and are interconnected to each other. The carbon cycle is the process in which carbon atoms continually travel from the atmosphere to the Earth and then back into the atmosphere. Now that you have understood the oxygen cycle and its importance, are you aware of how us, humans, are affecting this cycle and the environment?
Humans impact the environment in many ways, but we will be focusing on the human activities that directly affect the oxygen cycle, or what we call anthropogenic effects. Anthropogenic is an adjective that describes changes in nature made by people. As time passes by, the world continues to progress, but the so-called progress is considered as a factor that negatively impacts the oxygen cycle. One example is cutting down trees just to build establishments such as malls, hotels, and more. This process causes deforestation and it reduces the rate of photosynthesis. With this, the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere would accumulate and increase while the level of oxygen decreases, thus disturbing the oxygen cycle. Another instance is the increased fossil fuel combustion or the burning of oil, natural gas, and coal in order to produce energy. This is caused by industrial processes, the use of electricity, and of course, transportation. According to a recent study, there are currently 1.42 billion cars in operation worldwide. More anthropogenic effects include agricultural activities, exhaust from factories and industries, and mining operations. Imagine how damaging these activities are to the oxygen cycle, let alone the environment. Humans affect the environment in positive and negative ways. The advancement of technology in human civilization can be considered dangerous as it continuously alters our planet forever. Consider these impacts and ponder if you are one who will move along or step in and stop them. Now the question is, are we humans invasive?
Invasive species have the ability to disrupt balance within an ecosystem, the food cycle, loss of species within a region, and even affect the oxygen cycle for better or for worse. Plants are responsible for this, where they can be invasive by consuming more nutrients than the native plants. These exotic and alien plants have different chemicals and reactions to the new insect, soil, and surrounding, and most of these invasive plant species contribute to the emission of global warming gases such as nitrous oxide. Though, on the other hand, these invasive plants can also be contributing to the increase of storing of carbon dioxide, which is then processed through photosynthesis. And due to their abundance in the region, emission of oxygen would be greater, but this depends on the plant species. Now, for us humans, we are in fact invasive species. We reside in a region we don't belong. We have no natural predators. We spread our territories and hog on the resources and nutrients and hunt native species faster than they can recover. And we even cause chemical reaction to the surrounding area, affecting oxygen cycle. Us humans are the main invasive species and reason why the oxygen cycle and air pollution are becoming worse and worse. Factory smokes, vehicle exhaust, fossil fuel burning, destruction of forests, and much more. And thanks to the pandemic, we can confirm all of this evidence with the air was at record least pollution rates when all of China's factories were shut down during lockdown.
Epigenetics is the study of how our environment controls our gene activity and changes of the physical structure of DNA. Basically, it is all about genes. Histone modification and DNA methylation are one of the examples of epigenetics. As unsophisticated as it may sound, it still has a negative anthropogenic effect on the environment.
Air pollution is one of the well-known negative effects of epigenetics. Since epigenetics is all about genes, therefore it is one of the contributors of air pollutants. And air pollutants contribute to air pollution, which makes epigenetics dangerous to the environment.
The adverse effect of air pollution includes respiratory health problems, cardiovascular disease, metabolic disorder, and it can decrease the DNA methylation, which can cause depression, anxiety, histamine intolerance, cancer, and hormone imbalance. In order to reduce the effect of air pollution, we should first reduce the use of plastics, since plastics are the major contributor to air pollution. The burning of plastics produces greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. Second, use public transport, since emissions from cars increases greenhouse gas emissions. Therefore, it is better to use public transport than private vehicles. And third, reduce deforestation, since it produces greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. It can emit carbon dioxide, which can be inhaled by humans. And when an individual takes in carbon dioxide, it can cause respiratory problems such as difficulty in breathing. And it is stated in the oxygen cycle that humans should take in oxygen, not carbon dioxide.
Now you know that genes can also risk not only our health but also our environment. It's time to take action and combat pollution.
Anyway, the wind blows. A famous lyric line that means, however things may turn out or however fate may decide. This fate is in our hands to change the current state of the environment, to change our future. And now that you're aware of how you contribute to the damage, let us use this knowledge for our planet's advantage.